Hey guys, I'm Evan from RaceTech Electric, and I'm going to show you the Koso XR-S LCD speedometer gauge. This is a great gauge for street fighters and other types of street bikes. You can even put it on quads or dirt bikes. It's a great universal computer. It's small, really nice form factor, easy to mount. Looks good on dirt bikes, even on street bikes. So we're actually putting it on a FZR 600. This is it's a street legal bike used as a track toy by a local guy, but you know, it's still a decent street fighter. The bike was wrecked, as you can see, and the fairing's taken off. Kind of got some homemade stuff on it, so you know, if you have a bike that's been down or trashed and you know you need to get it back on the street and you damaged your original gauges, something like the XRS is a great way to still have a speedometer, be street legal, and get yourself back on the street. So you can see this thing doesn't have a gauge on it at all, but that's fine, we're going to solve that problem. Now I'm going to show you the XRS. It's a great package. Here's the box it comes in. Koso packages all of their stuff really nice. It's mounted firmly in this cardboard shell. So here's all the pieces. We have our speed sensor mounts. Comes with hardware, magnets for the speed sensor. Here's the speed sensor itself. We have our wiring harness for constant and switched power and the system ground. It's a DC 12 volt system, very easy to hook up. Here's our meter. The XRS is really small, square package, just a couple buttons to control it and handle all the settings. Nice connections on the back. They're all waterproof and they use clipped and keyed connectors, so they can only go in one way and they snap closed. So that's real nice. Bar mount, really simple to mount the XRS. It comes with snap-on clips, so you actually don't have to do any soldering, although I'm going to solder it. I prefer it that way, but you can use these clips to just snap them onto the existing wires. You don't even have to cut or solder anything, so that's easy. And mounting hardware and Allen wrench to tighten the bolts. Comes with great instructions. What I really like about the Kosos is they give you a full schematic on the back showing the exact hookup. That's really nice. Some other guys don't do that and they're harder to understand. Koso makes it really simple and they have great instructions. So anyways, there's our XRS kit. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get the gauge mounted first on our FZR. So we're going to get going on that and then I'll show you how I mounted it in just a minute. So to get started, you need to put the backing plate on the Koso. So you take your backing plate right here. You're going to line it up like that over the holes, and then you're going to take your machine screws with washers and put them straight through, and we're going to screw it down to attach the backing plate. Now on your particular bike, you might want to go ahead and take either the tank off or the front fairing, figure out where you're going to mount it and how you're going to set it up. This particular bike, the owner opted to mount the gauge on the left bar. So he actually, this is a track bike, he wanted to remove the left handlebar switch for turn signals and horn, which he wasn't using. So I've removed the handlebar switch and I've also pulled off the front fairing headlight just to give myself more room to route the wires. So I'm going to go ahead and add the mount now to the left handlebar switch. So I'm going to put that on. I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. So now I've attached the mount using the included hardware, just 2 Allen bolts either side, and all it does is clamp right around the bar. I've got that on. Now I'm going to go ahead and mount my gauge, which, if you look on the back, it's got 2 little holes. You got 2 clips right there. I'm going to line them up. That's how the gauge mounts snapped on. Good place. It's easy to see while you're riding. So, you know, with other bars, dirt bikes, you can mount it right across the crossbar. On this bike, this is a decent spot for it. So we're going to put it right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on the wiring. Real simple hookup on this, a power harness and a speed sensor. So we're going to do the power first. So I looked at the wiring harness on the front of the bike, and just like the Koso instructions say, I've isolated the black and the brown wire in the harness. Black is ground, brown is switched positive. And I've put the Koso blue clips on here. We're going to use these and install it just like the instructions show you how. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the wires from the Koso harness to them. Black will go to black on this Yamaha, which is ground, and then red on the Koso harness, which is switched positive, will go to brown on this FZR, which is positive. So I'm going to hook those up, and then you just slide the other wire in and then flip the connector closed and it'll crimp the wire in place. I'm going to go ahead and make that connection and then we should be able to turn the gauge on. Okay, and make sure you crimp those blue connectors closed with a pair of pliers so they make a good tight connection. So I just did that. Now, my key on, gauge on. So the FCR600 doesn't have a fuel setup or fuel sender, so that's really all we need. Now if you do have a fuel sender on your bike, you'll use these two wires here. The green will go to your ground side of the fuel sender, and the yellow's a positive if it uses a 2-wire. If not, you'll just use the single ground if it's a single wire. That's your setup for the fuel sender. And now we're going to do the speed sensor. So we're going to mount the speed sensor bracket. On this bike we're going to mount it right off of the left side caliper. So I've already loosened this. I'm going to remove the lower caliper mounting bolt. Then I'm going to slide it through the bracket. Koso comes with 2 brackets, so you pick which one fits the best. Then I'm going to slide it through, tighten it up, and we'll adjust it in a minute to line up with the bolt correctly. So that's that. Now we're going to get a magnet on the bolt for the measurement. Okay, so now that I've installed the speed sensor bracket, I slid the speed sensor through the hole in the bracket, and I've installed the set screw, which if you look on the bottom, you'll see there's a small set screw that screws in. We'll tighten that up once I set the correct depth. Now, I've installed the magnets on the outer rim of the rotor. So with the Koso, they give you small magnets that you can just press in. They normally want you to just press them into the rotor bolts, and they just, you know, they're magnetic, they'll just pop in and sit there. On this particular bike, the bracket doesn't give me enough room to mount and line up with the inner mounting bolts. So I'm actually going to use these outer holes. I've used 5 of the magnets and spaced them out, alternating every one, and they just stick right there, and I just push them into the hole in the center. So that'll work just fine. Now what I'm going to do is arrange the bracket to line up correctly with the path of the magnets travel, and you want to get the sensor about as close as you can, about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter or so of space away. So get them pretty close so it'll read correctly. I'm going to go ahead and line that up and tighten everything back up, and then I'll plug in the speed sensor. Okay, now that I got the bracket mounted, tighten up here, I have the speed sensor aligned about 2 millimeters away from the magnet. I have the set screw tightened, so the sensor is tight in its bracket. Now I'm going to route the cable up, and we'll end up plugging it in to the Koso connector. It's keyed, it'll slot it, it'll only go in one way, very simple. So I'll plug that in, and then it'll be time to dial in the speed settings. Just about done with the XR-S. Okay, so now that everything's back installed, let's go ahead and turn the gauge on. I'll show you how to set it. I'm going to get the screen to come on. Now, you see your miles per hour, and you can change this to miles and kilometers per hour by holding the right button down and pushing the left one. So that's kilometers. Hold the right button down, push the left one, changes to miles per hour. Okay, now to set your tire circumference, hold the left button down for 3 seconds. You'll change to circumference mode, so you can push the left button to adjust the setting. The right button will move to the next available number. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up at a number we'll start with, 1880. And the dash, the last number, is how many sensor points you have, basically how many magnets you used. I used 5, so that's why that says 5. You can use up to 6. But they need to be evenly spaced, so 5 was evenly spaced around my rotor. So that's it. Now that that's all set, you can just cycle the key. It'll store the settings. Now you're ready to run it. So go ahead and adjust your speed settings, you know, a couple different times. You need to measure the circumference in millimeters, and that's the number you enter. Will differ based on your bike. You can look up the specs online or just measure it yourself. Very easy to do. So anyways, that's about it to install the XR-S. Another great feature of this meter is the fuel gauge function. Unfortunately, this FCR doesn't have a fuel sender, so I can't use it. But on your bike, make sure to hook up the fuel sensor if you have one. Other than that, it's a great little gauge for doing speed, fuel, and trip meter and odometer functions. Really nice for a street bike, dirt bike, anything like that. So on this FCR track bike, it's perfect. Mainly for speed, that's what we needed on here. So anyways, that's about it. I'm gonna go for a ride now, make sure everything works great, and make sure to check out www.racetecelectric.com for more of our parts information. Check out all of our full line of Kosos and stators and regulators. Thanks a lot, and you can give us a call at 619-928-9015.